Hello, good evening, and a warm welcome. We'll just get started in a minute. Uh, okay, I think friends are just joining in. Uh, yeah, another minute, friends. We'll get going.
தெரியுதா? லிங்க் கிளிக் பண்ணி அந்த பண்ணலாம். இங்க இருக்க லிங்க் हो गया.
Hello, friends. Good evening, and a warm welcome to our Cloud Kitchen Champion Series. And we have a very interesting person who I think in our community at least needs no introduction. Uh, but nevertheless, for those of you who are not or who joined recently, um, it's a pleasure for me to welcome Shankar. Let me give you a quick brief. Uh, while apart from the fact that the Shankar in his business has been able to uh, not only survive, revive, and do sound. Oh, okay. 1 minute. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Yes. Okay. Fine. Thank you so much. Okay. Great. Fine. So I think, as I said, not only managed to just a minute, please be online. So not only been able to survive and revive, and but also thrive through the pandemic. That is something rare, and when a lot of people have shut shop and been struggling, I am sure all of you are waiting to know more about hear his story. But more importantly, okay, first let me welcome him. All of us should welcome Shankar. Shankar, why don't you join on the screen? And hi, Shankar, warm welcome to you. And let's all congratulate him first on
Thank
his
you.
fourth
Thanks for the
outlet that he
opportunity.
opened recently. The first thing, I think that's great, Shankar. Um,
Thank you. Thanks for
so
the opportunity.
I think you're muted, Shankar. I think you have to unmute yourself, or I'm not able to hear you. Just a
No,
minute.
I'm unmuted. I think.
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Sure,
Speaker.
sure.
Uh, Hello, can you hear me? And can you talk?
Yes, I think I
Okay, I'm
see
able to hear you
messages
also
that
now.
people are able to hear me. So
Yeah, great. Okay, now
yeah.
all good.
So good
So,
evening, everyone. Thank you.
yeah, friends. First question, Shankar. Okay. Uh, how did this Idlis start, first of all?
Well, Just to give a little bit about
This
my
brand is
background.
called Idlish. I'm sure you will be knowing more about it in a while. But how did it start?
Uh, just to give a little bit background about me, I have been in the corporate
Yeah.
world for 25 years. Uh, Basically, an engineer, and then moved and worked in sales and marketing, uh, cooking
You
and
have to be a little louder, Shankar. Your voice is little low.
cooking and hospitality has been my passion. So when I decided to take a kind of semi-retired life and then get off from the corporate world and start something of my own, then I thought, let me do something in the hospitality. Uh, so I returned back from Hong Kong like 3 years back.
From
Was
Hong Kong.
Yeah, my last employment was with a Hong Kong-based employer. I was with them for the last 13 years. So when I returned back, the initial concept was to bring some of the Hong Kong-based food to India. So mainly we were looking at like bubble tea and bubble waffle.
Shankar, your voice, you have to be closer to the mic or, so that we can hear you more clear.
Okay. Uh, so the idea was to return and start something related to the Hong Kong food.
Hong Kong food,
So
okay.
yeah. So basically we're looking at starting bubble tea and bubble waffle. Uh, so spend about 3 to 6 months uh, trying to understand the market. That's the time you could see a lot of pancakes brands are appearing. Then you
Okay.
had shakes, milkshakes brands were appearing.
Okay.
Uh, but we also realized that those brands and the concept had a very short life.
Lifespan.
Yeah, so they come for 5 years, couple of shops open, and then the trend goes off. So that's where I realized that probably the most right thing is to do is to take the Indian food,
Indian food.
which is anyway like it's all time bestseller. So you can take the Indian food to the masses, and the idea was also to make it more appealing for the millennials.
Okay.
So how do we create fusion of the out of the South Indian food? So knowing that my strength is in South Indian, I said, okay, let me start with the South Indian brand, and
Okay.
that's how the journey of Idlish started.
Okay, some of you are asking. Shankar is from Mumbai, and he was running a couple of outlets before the COVID started, which were basically kind of a dine-in and a maybe part takeaway. And then post COVID, now he's again started something more. Uh, Tell us the journey first about the tough times through the. So very short. Tell me the first journey from first outlet to second to third. How did that happen?
So first outlet, like obviously my passion was about food, and also it was about building a brand. So we were very clear that we want to build a brand out of it and then take it to multiple outlets. Very clear that at least the first 3 to 5 outlets are going to be our own, and then after that we'll start franchising. Uh, so the first outlet was opened in a busy Cow Gully. It's a food street in Mumbai
Okay.
called Mahavir Nagar in Kandivali West.
Okay.
Because we were very clear that we want to build a brand, so it has to be in a visible high street where people walk in so they can come and experience the food. So that'll be easy to build the brand. And that approach really worked. In the very first month, we did about 4 lakh sales.
Wow. Okay.
Then we started breaking even from the fourth month. It's a very high rental area. We used to pay a rent of 1.1 lakhs for a 200 square feet shop.
Okay. Okay.
And the kitchen used to occupy like 100 square feet out of that, and another 100 square feet, 10 people can sit comfortably. Uh, Typical of Mumbai, you have a hotla outside also. So including the inside and outside, around 20 people can sit and have food. And the kitchen was like completely open where people can see the live cooking happening. So it was in a small 100 square feet. Uh, that's how it started in Kandivali.
Okay.
And since the kitchen was smaller, we had a back-end kitchen where we used to make the sambar chutney and then bring it to the shop like twice or thrice a day, and then do all the live steaming of idlis and vada and dosa at the outlet.
Okay.
Now, somehow I felt that, okay, that place is sitting idle, so we wanted to utilize that. So that's how the cloud kitchen started.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my backend kitchen became a cloud kitchen to generate additional revenue.
Okay.
So that's the second outlet. The backend become a delivery outlet.
Okay.
And then we converted that to a settle kitchen, and then started a third outlet in Goregaon.
Okay.
So this is how the progress went. And
From 1 to 2 to 3.
1 to 2 to 3 is right.
Okay. 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 I think you joined our Kiran Biligiri community of the next masterclass sometime in June, last
Correct.
June, July, and you're one of the initial part of the group. And uh, so, how was it? I think networking with your peers there, and um, why did you find the need to join a course like this when you yourself were running 3 outlets already?
Uh, so we all were in a very challenging time at that point of life. 3 months we were not allowed to open the outlets. So out of the 3 outlets, only our delivery kitchen was allowed to run, and the other 2 outlets were completely shut.
Yeah.
Um, Everyone went through the same process, so nothing unique for me. But we also wanted to see how earlier, before the lockdown, we were doing like 60% of the revenue was coming from dining and 30 to 40% from deliveries.
Okay.
So we realized that post model, that same model is not going to work post lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why I was very interested to join yours and understand like how I can do more deliveries and how I can do more sales by delivery. So I can, make the money over the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how, and it's but I must say that it is one of the beautiful things which have happened to me in my life, and not only learning from you but connecting with the good number of friends over the period of like we spent almost like 4.5 months together.
Yeah. 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 So
It was
what were your greatest takeaways from the course apart from the networking that you could implement?
like it's a very systematically designed program. I wish the lockdown had happened like 3 years back. We had 3 years back. I may not have committed some of the mistakes what I did in the first few outlets.
Okay. Okay. You could have got it
But
started there.
yeah, so for anybody who's going to start, not just focusing on the high numbers, if they really go into the details of what is there in the lesson, you can avoid many pitfalls. Because what I see is this industry has a failure rate of 80%.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have a coach, a process wherein you can minimize the risk and then come out of it sooner. And that's where I find the absolute value from your program. So
Yeah.
who has gone through the process and fully understood it, I'm sure they'll be doing very well. Who has skipped some of the steps may go through the struggle, but eventually I believe they'll also learn and come up.
Yeah. 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 So, most importantly, Shankar, apart from being a successful business, I let you guys ask the questions regarding the business that you would like to know. But I think one trait that sets him apart really is his desire to help people. And not only is he methodical and diligent in his deeds, but he's generous with his words. I think I'll take this opportunity for a minute to share with you one of the best feedbacks I have received in my life. Let me just give you a minute. I think this was feedback Shankar shared on.
Yeah, it's on the Kiran Biligiri website. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right, and it was really, really heartening to see some kind words like these from coming from you, Shankar. So not only you really want to do well, you really express yourself well. And I've seen that happening across not just this feedback for me, but even your words of encouragement to the whole community, whether it is on Facebook or on mastermind group or on the WhatsApp groups. Uh, and I think that really the desire to serve people well is something that I think is helping you. More words from you, please.
Probably I inherited that from my father, who used to be very actively helping people, socializing and doing this. I also have to give the credit to you because when I made this one, I'm absolutely clear and of what I said. But probably I made this comment little ahead of time. If I have to rephrase it now, it's not $200 anymore. It is like much more than that. It's much more multiples than that. So yes.
Thank you so
You
much.
have inspired me a lot, Kiran sir, in that aspect.
So what's your motivation that and how did you now started the fourth outlet? There's a question that I have about your menu and cuisine. I think we will be playing 1 or 2 videos that you guys should watch. You'll get a better idea. He runs a place called Idlish, and I'll let him talk more about it. You come a little closer to the mic, Shankar. You will be a little louder.
Yeah. So that's how we started Idlish. So initially the plan was to bring something from outside, so that I thought like we'll bring the bubble waffle and bubble teas. Then after doing some research, we understood that okay, those are like things which fade away. So I created a detailed PowerPoint. I spent almost 6 months doing some research, understanding what people need, how things can be improvised. I created a kind of visual presentation for myself first to see how the food is going to be presented. What are the categories of food that is going to be available? So we have three major verticals in the food. So one, we have the traditional South Indian food. Then we have the healthy version of that South Indian food. Then we have the fusion version of that South Indian food.
Wow. Okay. Sounds interesting.
So the basic idea is like in Mumbai typically, and in most of the country also, when you say a South Indian restaurant, barring few, especially in Mumbai, it is all Udupi restaurants, which have South Indian as a small part of their menu. But primarily they sell Chinese, Punjabi, pasta, everything.
Everything. Yeah. Jack of all trades.
Yes. This is the fact about 90% of the restaurants in Mumbai. So we were very clear that, yes, we want to cater to all those audience, but everything has to come from South Indian. The origin has to be South Indian. The fusion has to be from South Indian. So that is the base. Like if a family of multiple generation walk in, each one of them should have something available in English for them to have. So that's a basic concept what we had in mind, and based on that, we created the menu. I created it and then cross-checked with a few friends to get their feedback. Then took it to a few chefs, had the discussion like what is the right way to go forward. Hired one of them as a consultant to make my dream come true, and then assist me in the process.
Okay.
So I really spent almost 1 year before we could identify and start this thing.
Okay, guys. So I'll interrupt you here. For all of you who are hearing, see there are quickly 2 great lessons from the short discussion so far. One, a solid amount of research. A solid amount of research. He researched for almost 6 months, and then again, prepared for a long period of time to get his products and combination right. Okay. Now, possibly the time frame could be smaller or longer based on what you're working on. But a good amount of research is absolutely must. Don't go and start with what you like to eat, or possibly when Shankar came down, he wanted to do something from Hong Kong, and understand what your customers or the audience or the guests in the area that you want to open up like to eat, and then plan backwards. This is a very interesting combination, Shankar. First time I've heard. You have South Indian food, and generally South Indian food, most of it is healthy per se, but even the even if you take the puris or the masala dosas or something that has a bit of more of an oil and all, so you have a healthier version of that. And so you arrive at it through what, millet based things or use of how does it work?
Yeah. So we have millet-based idlis, millet-based dosas. So we have oats-based idli. So these are like dishes enriched with more nutrient items. So they become more healthier. So that's how the concept of fusion on the healthy side created. Then we also have on the drink side, we have the ginger herbal coffee. You know,
Okay.
these sold really very well during the pandemic because these are immunity boosters.
Yeah.
So the turmeric milk, the ginger herbal coffee, so those are lost tradition. Like people have forgotten about some of our traditions. So we want to bring it back also. So we created that healthy vertical. Then of course we don't want to miss out on the millennials and the younger generation. So we created a lot of fusion with the idlis and dosas. So we have dosa presented in the form of a taco.
Taco.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have dosas with cheese and everything. Like we call it as a triple cheese lava dosa.
Acha.
Okay. Then we have the paniyarams. Paniyaram is a ball shaped dish which is like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
made with jaggery and everything. So we created a fusion of that. You have the chocolates embedded into that, and they are
Wow.
baked.
Okay.
So we call it as a chocolate lava paniyaram.
Okay.
So everything, we don't use any maida. We try to avoid the usage of sugar. It's more jaggery and palm sugar.
Wow. Okay.
So the whole concept is like it should be appealing, it should be tasty. At the same time, it should be healthy also.
Okay. Great. So, friends, I will start letting you take some questions before I have some which I'll ask in the end. But before that, when through the pandemic, when you have to win the confidence of the people that you are serving something that I think, let me play a short video. I think Shankar, I'm playing the video.
Sure, please.
Um, So that was a video, I think, you used to communicate and also practice a lot of safety things for during the pandemic to make sure that people get the confidence. Can you tell more about it?
Yeah. So it was very important to communicate the message to the customer that the food what they are ordering is coming from a very safe place, where all the because Cloud Kitchen, we were not allowed to operate the cafe. It become even the cafes become more like a Cloud Kitchen. No dining was allowed for almost 1.5 months post the lockdown. So people need to get the message that everything is coming from a clean and a hygienic kitchen. So that's why we created this video also. We also inserted a small leaflet, a small pamphlet where the same message was written. So when people order that, they read it, they understand that this is coming from a safe place and the repeat orders used to come. So we also use that opportunity to put our phone number also. So whenever somebody wants to place a direct order, so they can also place an order.
Great. Okay, we have one more video. I think that we'll play a little later. That gives a lot bigger picture, better picture about his products and stuff like that. So meanwhile, why don't we take some questions, Shankar?
Sure, we can.
Okay, Ghazal has a question. saying, what was the initial cost for setting up the first Idlish outlet?
The first outlet, it is about, remember correctly, it is about between 12 to 14 lakhs, depending on what you want to add to that, including the deposit or without the deposit.
What's the typical deposit in Mumbai?
3 to 6 months.
Achha. So it's lesser than Bangalore. Bangalore, it goes higher.
I was lucky to get 3 months in all my deals, but most often it is like 5 or 6 months.
Oh, okay. Great. So you spent about 13, 14 lakhs. Okay. Question on the Cloud Kitchen menu. Was it limited, focusing on some key items from Naresh?
Correct. If you look at my dine-in menu, I have currently about 120, 140 odd items on the dine-in menu based on the outlet. On a Cloud Kitchen, if I keep all those items, then it will be misleading or confusing to the customer. So we selected about 40 to 50 items which are our best sellers and which can be packed very well. Like, for example, the taco dosas, I won't be able to do justice by packing it and shipping it to them. So we don't offer those items on the Cloud Kitchen menu, but we have a limited menu which are our best sellers, which works well on packaging and transportation.
Yeah, see, that's a good lesson again. If you are running someplace which is both a dine-in and delivery joint, then items that really won't go well at, it's impossible to be giving a sizzler on delivery, right? Okay. Similarly, you must be smart enough to realize what are your products that can never go onto or should not go onto a delivery menu. Good point, Shankar.
Not only that, like we don't want to give everything on delivery, then people will stop walking in.
Okay, good. This is a good point too. Okay.
Some good things have to be kept at outlet only, so people just walk in and then to have that food and experience.
Oh, good. This is a very good point. So the whole menu is not available for the delivery. At some of your special items, and what percentage of that would be your menu?
Roughly about 40% is not available online.
Oh, okay. That's nice. That's interesting. Okay. Can you, Ghazal has again a second question. Can you explain more about R&D you did, the factors, the approaches, etc.?
I think everyone will agree that the number 1 to number 3 points, which are key for a hospitality industry, a food outlet, is the location. So a lot of time we spend in finalizing the location. Like we would have seen hundreds of shops. Because even now, when many people call me, I'm not able to find a right shop. I'm not able to, I like this, but my husband doesn't like this. My brother doesn't like this. I share my experience. Me and my wife went through the same process. Like whatever I used to select, she won't like it. So it's very important first to understand that location is the key. So spend considerable amount of time to understand each of the location and find the right fit for your cuisine and also your price point. Because you can get an idli for 20 rupees also, you can get an idli for 200 rupees also in Mumbai. So you have to understand that what is your offering, at what position you are going to place your brand, and select the right location which will give you that result. So we spend considerable amount of time on the location. Like I already said, like we spend quite a bit of time on the menu. And then getting some input from friends and then taking it to the chefs and getting their inputs. So those two to me are the two key things.
Okay, great. I think the first module that we have is on the market research. So make sure if you've just joined the family, go through that Ghazal in detail. And wherever you're located, I'm sure you could network with friends from your location who started and get a little more insights into how to do it better. Okay. Mohit Angrish, I don't know, I'm spelling you right. Sorry if I'm not. Okay, he has a very different question, Shankar. How do we improvise the family-run businesses with all the latest trends and get into sync, even though I alone doesn't make all the decisions? He has a very difficult question. He's a part of the family which runs the business. He wants to get it trendy, but how do you do it?
Probably.
Any thoughts?
It's a very difficult question to answer, of course. Probably one right approach could be you could take your family, who are the stakeholders,
Pardon,
along.
a little louder.
You can take your family, the stakeholders who run the business, to various places. So let them get to meet people, talk to people, let them interact. Then if they have some reservations, the reservation may get opened up.
Okay, that is one. And second point always is Mohit. My advice is if you want to go from step A to step 1 to step 10 in terms, it won't be acceptable in the family. If you want to bring some trends, okay, bring in say 3, 4, 5 just items that you think are trendy and that will help the business into the menu. Okay, I'm sure your family will not object it as long as don't see the basic structure being played with. Show them some results. The moment you start showing them some results, they will get confidence that okay, मोहित जो बोलता है वो चल रहा है, तो हम इस पे भरोसा कर सकते हैं और ये जो changes बोल रहा है करेंगे. You have to bring that confidence, and it will be a gradual process. If it's a family run business, and it can't happen overnight, but if you are committed and go about step by step with small changes at one point of time, I think you will be able to get your family onto your side. Or maybe if your model is such that keeping it intact is the best, you will learn that too. Okay, Pradeep, average cost of food and target audience is a very vague thing. What is the average cost of food cost percentage rather Pradeep is wanting to understand?
It's somewhere between 25 to 30%, average at somewhere in the middle, depending on the fluctuations and what you see on the food cost.
Okay. What do you look for when finally look? I think, Karan, you have to go back to the module and look at there are several factors while finalizing the location. South Indian menu only for breakfast for Cloud Kitchen would work. Pradeep has a question ki he wants to have a South Indian menu, but only for breakfast. I'm sure you can give him some good inputs, Shankar.
Just to give some background, like currently being a South Indian brand, so ours is also primarily South Indian. So we get almost 50 to 60% of our revenue in the breakfast session. So that should answer part of your question. Yes. So if you do only breakfast, probably you're still going to get like a major chunk of your targeted revenue. But coming from industry background, for me and for any of the investors, any of the business owners, when you invest money, you need to get the return. So you have rented a place, you have invested on machines, you have invested on staff. What is the point in running it for only 4 to 6 hours? Like you have to try to maximize and get the best out of your investment. That's the only way to move forward. So your point is valid. Maximum revenue for a South Indian brand is going to come on the breakfast time, but you have to find a way to maximize your revenue so that all your assets and
or put to full use.
Or put to full use, and they are giving you the results to you.
How would you break down the balance between the lunch and dinner? If it is 50-60 for breakfast, what percentage would it be for lunch and dinner?
That depends on the location of the outlets. If they are located in a corporate, then we get more lunch orders, but more residential area, then it's more dinner.
Okay.
So this is talking about the delivery. Of course, dine-in is different. Dine-in is more towards the dinner time.
Okay.
But when it comes to delivery orders, it's more towards the breakfast.
Okay. So I think Pradeep, you would have got a good answer from this. Maybe my suggestion would be, maybe don't have to have the whole menu through the day. Run your full menu, the breakfast menu, and maybe some parts of it that is easier to run for lunch and dinner, and maybe small additions for lunch and dinner with smaller team. Possibly is an answer to make sure that you get the best out of your place while not increasing too much of team. Okay. Rajesh Singh, Shankar, I'm also in the corporate world. I wanted to open a cloud kitchen in the dilemma that I should go or continue with the job. How to overcome this dilemma? Rajesh Singh has a question. That corporate world, छोड़े क्या? छोड़े तो कैसे छोड़े? करे तो क्या करे ना क्या करे?
सबके पास ये सवाल तो होता ही है. Like everyone go through the same process and this thing. Uh, it's again very depends on person to person. But a general advice, what I would give is like, if you're averse to risk, make sure that you at least have built your foundation. Your family's needs for the next 5 to 10 years are taken care. You have saved enough before you start with a new venture. Because a venture like a hospitality food industry, even the failure rate of 80%, you need to be very careful. So you need to make sure that you are fully prepared before you step into it. Of course, one way is like attending the course. So you learn few things. Like nobody's going to teach you. Like when even when you go to a university, they are not going to teach the steps in this way. So one way is to attend that, but for anybody, general advice would be, before you take a big step like that, make sure that you're financially secure. Then if you're secure, then you should have the courage to move ahead and take the risk.
So Rajesh, basically the answer is two things. Based on which stage of life you are in. If you are married, have a family and kids, then you must have a backup for a couple of years, such that when you experiment with this, if things go wrong, it should not affect your family's needs. But if you're young, alone, and your family is fairly well off, then I don't think it's a dilemma. Also, you should jump in and take the leap of faith. Absolutely. But after doing your diligent homework and learning well. Okay. Please, Sarumati, please share about healthy packaging and is that recyclable?
Sarumati ma'am, good evening. Before pandemic, we were more focused on eco-friendly packaging. Very honestly, post-pandemic, when we did our research, we understood that people are more concerned about hygiene. Most of the eco-friendly packaging have certain possibility to leak out. And during the pandemic time, like nobody wanted to touch, part which is leaking out and everything. So during pandemic, we had to change the model. We had to go to shift to completely plastic. Food grade. They are reusable plastics, but they are more hygienic. They are 100% sealing, 100% sealed, and so there is no leakage. So this is something which we had to adapt during the pandemic.
Sarumati, to add to what Shankar is saying, there's a misnomer that the misconception that every plastic is bad. Okay, plastic is not bad. Plastic is an integral part of our lives. We cannot live without plastic. There is no house without plastic. There is no car without plastic. And same thing in your house. If you see, there's so much of plastic. Now the question comes when it's about a single-use plastic, and we don't have a good mechanism to segregate and make sure that we segregate it at the time of disposal. That is a problem in India. But otherwise, the food grade plastic that is available today is recyclable. Okay, which means if it really gets segregated and goes, it is recyclable, it is reusable, and it is also reheatable, which is an advantage with food grade plastic, because in case or most times, it so happens that if the delivery is 45-50 minutes, if people want to have steaming hot, they could just put that in the microwave and have it hotter. So it is recyclable. Even the food grade plastic is recyclable. So keep that in mind. Okay. Pradeep, is it advisable to start multi-cuisine cloud kitchen only for breakfast?
I think I should leave that question to Kiran sir to answer.
No. See, I think I don't know why we are stuck on the breakfast part. Are you hiring somebody's kitchen where they are operating for lunch and dinner and you're getting it at a lesser price? Then all your thoughts are valid and I will go with you. But if you're hiring a place, hiring a team, then only breakfast, is not making sense to me. I have seen, for example, in Bangalore, a place called Veena Stores, which does a fantastic business. They operate in 2 sessions. They operate from morning 6:30, 7ish to about 10:30, 11ish, one session, and evening they again start at 5 and wind up by 8:30. It's like 2 sessions serving similar kind of food with minor changes for the evening session. Okay. So what is your reason for going for only breakfast? I am not too sure. But multi-cuisine will make it even more complicated because your team size is going to grow a lot if it's going to be only for breakfast. And so that doesn't look appealing to me, prima facie.
I think just one additional point to Pradeep. If you look at the revenue generation, I mean, keep aside that we are a South Indian brand. Generally, if you look at the revenue generation, like most of the orders, the revenue gets generated in the dinner order, then the lunch and breakfast. So if you're going to limit yourself to breakfast only, then you are catering only to a limited market. So that's something you need to look at.
Mahendra Joshi asks, do you have separate kitchens or centralized kitchen for all branches?
Good evening, Mahendra Joshi. कैसे हैं आप? I hope you are doing well. I look forward to connect with you in Pune sometime very soon. We have a central kitchen. The misas get prepared in the central kitchen. We don't make any final product in the central kitchen. The misas get prepared in the central kitchen and then they go to all the branches. The misa, like for sambar, we could have like 2 or 3 ingredients which makes the sambar. So they go to the outlets. The sambar gets made fresh. So sambar, chutney, everything is like we make it like 3 or 4 times a day. All the items like the idli, vada, dosa, everything is done at the outlets.
So the batter, you make it at the central kitchen and
correct.
It across.
Correct.
Okay. So out of the 100% expenses, kindly share an approximate 5 major expense heads and alerts beyond which. Sarumati, I think it's there in the module. You should go back and look at it. I would like to take questions that will be relevant to Shankar's valuable time here with us. So, sir, to enter the industry first time is okay. Is it okay with established menu or try our own new dish? Realme 7i, I don't know your name, but he's saying established menu is better or trying our own new dish.
I think Kiran sir would be the right person to answer that, but let me try it. In general, your menu should have a good mix of tried and tested item, the fast sellers. Typically like 70-80% of that should be your tried and tested item. You can have experimental menu of 20% and then you can see the response and then keep fine-tuning it. But going with a completely new item, 100% new one, would be a very high risky proposition.
Yeah, that's a high risk if you're going for a completely new dish. Okay, we don't know the acceptability. Karan, would you advise running a full-fledged cloud kitchen or a semi-dine-in come cloud kitchen?
I'm always for semi-dine-in or a takeaway because from my own experience, that helps in the brand building. When you have an outlet, my own experience, the Kandivali outlet helped me a lot in building the brand because we were right in the food street. Like people used to walk in. We could do 4 lakhs in the first month just because we were presenting the food street. Of course, the food is good, then it gets converted into delivery and things. So wherever there is a possibility to have a delivery counter or dine-in, small dine-in, my personal opinion is I think we should go for it. But yes, pure cloud kitchen also works very well. But you will have to spend on the brand awareness and branding to create that.
Yeah. See, with the vaccine coming in now, I think over the next couple of months, if you're looking at doing your homework now and research and starting, then I think a small dine-in or at least a presence as a takeaway counter with your brand visibility will greatly help for sure. I think Sid, I think there's the same question that was above, and with your first outlet, how long did it? Okay, first outlet, how long did you take to achieve break even?
Sadhuji,
operational break even. I'm understanding is that your question.
That's my understanding as well. So Sadhuji, we reached the break even on the 4th month of the operation.
So typically 3rd, 4th month, within 6 months you should be able to get there. Okay, if you're not getting there, then something is prima facie wrong. Try to dig in, make the corrections. But if you're not able to break even operationally, in a year's time, then maybe that's not your cup of tea, or your concept has gone totally wrong. You'll have to really think about maybe coming out of it or selling it, or if you have the wherewithal, do it all over again with a different concept or whatever it is. Okay, 3 to 6 months is a good time. Ideally, I would say 3-4 months. Because mostly we have also seen the third to fourth month is where we have seen the break even. Okay, RR, if you can give some good packaging solution vendors in Kolkata. Okay, I think this will come up. RR, the vendors we are putting together. It's a slow process. We have some information, but we don't want to put it up without verification. But whichever city you are in, I'm sure if you are already part of the WhatsApp group, there are friends who are using some solutions from vendors in that city. Just put your question there. I'm sure you will find solutions. Uh, so we don't want to recommend somebody we've not been able to verify. Okay. How did you do your marketing? What was your marketing strategy, Ghazal?
Good evening, Ghazal. Like I said in the beginning, for me, the approach is to build the brand by sitting in high street. So our first outlet was right in the high street. So the brand was visible like every weekend, like hundreds of people used to walk through that street. So everyone gets curious. There's a new thing, so let me try it. So they come in, they walk in. Once they taste the food, then they become a regular customer. So for everyone, the approach could be different. Like if you're a cloud kitchen, your marketing approach could be different. Cloud kitchen, maybe I can add a small point. I can also see that many people are making, in my opinion, a mistake by spending a lot of budget on the social media marketing, Instagram and Facebook campaigns and everything. In my own experience in the last 2 years, when people are hungry, they don't look at Instagram and order food. They don't look
on
at
the
Facebook.
Platform.
They go to the platform. So no matter we like or not, Swiggy and Zomato today are the place where you should be visible, because that's a place where people go when they are hungry.
See, that's the high street for the cloud kitchen.
Correct. So if you are going to do a marketing, then I would suggest that you probably allocate a bigger chunk of your budget towards the creator platform, and keep a small budget on the Instagram and Facebook more to create brand awareness. So you can keep building a brand awareness, but you're not going to get conversion from Swiggy, Zomato. That's going to be very small.
We did something little more, Shankar. Initially, apart from spending money on the platforms,
Right.
okay, whatever money we spent on Facebook, Insta, etc. Okay, we used to divert traffic to our page on Swiggy. Okay, so what happens is when Swiggy sees that you're generating a lot of orders, organically also you start growing in the listing, apart from the advertising that you do. Okay, so whatever advertising you're doing, make sure you put the link of your page of Swiggy or Zomato or Amazon, wherever you connect with, or wherever you have the best commission percentage or the lowest commission percentage, such that they also are happy that more orders are getting generated, and that's how you grow organically in the listing. Okay.
Just a small tip on that also, like you don't have to boost your every this thing. So if you are, let's say, operating from a particular area in your city, if you look at groups in that area, Facebook groups, and if you get enrolled, like some of them like don't allow spams, but some of them are okay to allow certain amount of marketing. And if you could, communicate in a way that it doesn't sound like a spam, but you give a good write-up about the food and everything. Also give the links to the order pages. People generally allow it. They don't mind that sort of thing, and it comes free. So that's a small tip what you can do.
And also, Ghazal, I think as soon as you are able to connect wherever to your guests to serve whom you have served, and able to creating your own broadcast lists also helps. Okay, if you're able to, and that will be not as a group, but as a broadcast list, communicating, and that too, if you do it on a daily basis and all, it's spamming them. I'll just use this opportunity, Shankar, to tell that the WhatsApp groups that we have created, or the Facebook mastermind group, I still, in spite of repeated reminders, I see people trying to market their products there. Okay, even if you're, in fact, even people are trying to talk about their restaurant sales, their offer that are coming up with in this group. And this is not the platform. This is not. They are not your guests. Okay, they're not your potential audience. It is. We won't allow it, and it's a waste of your time, effort, energy trying to post it there, because this is not your audience. And similarly, if you're a guy who has a product or a service that you think the community could benefit from, we'd be more than happy. You send a mail to support@kiranbilagiri.com with your details and some references. Once we verify them, we will add you to the preferred vendors list, which the whole community can access. Okay. So please don't try to post on the FB mastermind group your offers and all that. Okay. But yes, if you come out with a creative product or something, the moment you give it a link to buy and the link there, you're trying to sell it. Okay. So refrain from that. And okay, Govind, this is a good question. And this is an interesting answer to your question, Govind. I'm sure Shankar will. Are you considering giving out a franchise? Okay, let me share. The fourth outlet that is opened is a franchise outlet. Okay, and whom is given a franchise to and how is going about, I think we'll hear from him.
So Govind, yes, we have started franchising. We already have complete material, everything established, and
little louder, Shankar. Come closer to the mic.
Because we spent the first 2 years in building the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, everything is clear. So we built the franchisee model just before lockdown. We were about to roll it out to the people. That's a time when lockdown happened. Now, coming back to the point of our first franchised outlet, in fact, one of my manager wanted to open his own tea shop, and but this opportunity came to me, and we had a shop available in Borivali, which is running a Gola product. So this is something very important. Just I want to emphasize the point. The shop is running a Gola product. Gola typically sells in the night from 9 o'clock to 12 or even 1 o'clock in Mumbai. The rest of the time, the shop is lying idle. So the guy didn't know how to utilize it. So when we had a talk with him, my product is entirely different. Like my product starts from 7:30 in the morning and we sell till 10 o'clock, and then after that we are done. My manager wanted to do it, and he can invest only this much. And this was a good fit. Like the rental was half shared, and the place is available, well done, with all the amenities, everything available. So with just 2.5 lakhs investment, we could set up that outlet and hand it over to him. And so that's a win-win. That's what I want to do for some of my key employees. I would like to see them as owners of shops in next 2 to 3 years.
That's your answer to Govind. And developing your own key employees, if they have the interest and able to put together a little bit of investment, get them onto taking your franchises, one of the options also. And of course, SOPs that he's talking about is critical if you ever think of franchising. And I think before we take further questions, Shankar, I think you should play your second video, and I have some questions on that, and then we will go further with this. Yeah. Why don't you play the video?
Yeah, let me. Are you able to see my video?
No, you've not started screen sharing. Screen share and optimize for video, and then play it.
Just give me 1 minute. Let me share the screen. Okay. Is the video visible now?
Yeah, you can play it now.
Let me play.
Audio.
Audio is not playing, is it?
No, no. Optimize for audio when you screen share.
Maybe Kiran sir, then maybe
okay, you just yeah.
I'll give up the.
You stop it. I'll play it.
Yeah.
You stop the screen share.
I've done it. Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hope Viking, that was, I think the most of the dishes look so yummy. I think I'm sure it will be on the agenda of all of us who are not in Bombay to visit you when we do. And then those who are in Bombay, I think should right away in this week go and check out and enjoy some of them. So that's great, Shankar. And tell me about Beenamma. What is the story about Beenamma?
Yeah. So
mascot.
So when I wanted to build a brand, so it is not just about hospitality. I wanted to build a brand. So it was very clear that the brand should have a mascot. So when we want to create a mascot, then had multiple options looking at it. One, I created a mascot which looks like me, bald head and the South Indian look and everything. That one I created. And then I created another one which looks like my wife. So that's what she is the character now, Beenamma.
Okay.
The basic concept was I like the fact that most of the South Indian restaurant or even the Indian restaurant have a male mascot. Specifically, if you go to South Indian, it is all South Indian Anna, a Madrasi standing. None of them have a lady mascot. So we wanted to stand out. We said very clear. So this has to be unique, a lady who is multifaceted, who is multi-talented. So that's how the concept of Beenamma came. And then we wanted to give them both contemporary and as also traditional, a multitasking person. That's why we bought the, the dancing lady, and then we created things around that.
The multifaceted. So to add to it, friends, I think when we talk about great food, we always say "maa ka hath ka khana," not "baap ka hath ka khana" or fathers, So I think that was a really intelligent move and so much in sync with your brand and yeah. Okay. How did you chip in this innovative name Idlish?
The recipes are all from our grandmothers. Like what is special about Idlish is uh, in Mumbai there's a place called Matunga. That's where mostly the Tamils used
Madurai.
to make Matunga in Mumbai.
Huh?
Matunga is a place in Mumbai.
Madunga. Okay.
That's where the migrant Tamilian population landed like decades ago, like 40, 50 years ago. So anybody in Mumbai, if they want to have a good South Indian food, they have to go to Matunga only, where you will get the authentic taste. If you leave that Matunga, rest of the places is a generic taste which is made to the Mumbai audience. So when we wanted to have that, we wanted to make sure that we bring that traditional food back and make it available in many places in Mumbai. Not like people don't have to travel all the way to Mumbai, Matunga, to have that food. So that's why we took our grandmother's recipe. We worked on that to create the fusion around that and then make it.
Okay. How did you chip in this innovative name Idlish? I think he's mentioned it. Idli plus relish.
Quite by accident.
Okay.
So we were toying around with many names. It was like Mini Chennai, a few other names we were toying around with. But we realized that most of them cannot be trademarked because those are generic name like Chennai or something cannot be trademarked. So it just a thing which came in my mind that Idlish. Then I took time, like I like to, I'm a little bit more creative. So I sat down, created a PowerPoint with the name Idlish. So the logo is designed by me. That's why it looks dumb. It can be better. But then I added, like I wanted people to understand also what is Idlish. So we added that tagline that Idli Dosa Relish. And then we added down below that our grandmother's recipe with a twist. That's how Idlish came.
So communicating in your name with your byline exactly what your product is about is a big advantage that you should not miss out on. People come up with fancy names which nobody understands what they serve. Okay, so that's always a danger. Um, now you could always have examples of in the past some brands that have started with completely names that have nothing to do with food, which have worked out. Story today is different. There are a lot of brands available, competition. So if you can plan that, it will be an advantage. Okay, Shankar, we have AJ from Qatar saying this is not a developed market, and hence should I go ahead with unique breakfast items or stick to the tried and tested items? If both, what percentage would you look for both genres? His name is Shahrukh Khan. Okay.
Yeah, I think we did answer that partly before also. In general, like I think in my opinion, 80% of your menu should have the tried and tested items which are selling well. To build a brand, you can also have 20% unique items. Just the market response for that. If they do very well, okay, continue with that. If they are not doing very well, you can take out few of them and then upgrade them with the new items. So we do a menu review every quarter, definitely every 6 months. So we look at our best sellers and we keep them, and then we see how to do them better. And the low sellers, we take it out and then add few items and then new items and then try it. So that should be an ongoing process for any good restaurant to continue.
Okay. Okay. Last couple of questions, friends. Swaraj Dev have a menu of about 30 items. Chef usually takes 20 minutes for preparing an item like pizza. How do I reduce the time? Have one chef as orders are low. Okay, this is, I think, a different subject compared to what he's serving, but I'm sure he can give you some thoughts. I'll add to it.
Yeah, I think Kiran sir would be the right person to add to that. Like I said, like we have the misas ready in certain stage. We used to earlier make idlis and store it. That's another lesson what we learned during the pandemic. We said it is okay to give the order like in 15 to 20 minutes. Not every order need to ship in 10 to 15 minutes. So when
A little closer again, Shankar. We are losing your voice when you're far away from the
this
video.
is something we learned in the pandemic. That earlier we were so focused on giving the order, every order should go out in 10 to 15 minutes. So we used to keep some idlis and vadas always in the process of making and then
Semi-prepared or whatever.
semi-prepared. But during the pandemic, we took a decision that we are going to build everything against order only. So when an idli order comes, then we steam it. So we have multiple types of idlis. So the standard idlis can be made all the time, but we have Kanjivaram idli, we have rye millet idli, we have oats idli. I cannot stock everything. So we took a decision that, okay, we will keep everything ready so that when the order comes, the idli should be steamed and coming out in 10 minutes. The preparation time for idli is only 10 minutes. So the guy needs 2 minutes to pour the batter and keep it inside, and within 10 minutes, it should come out. So 15 to 20 minutes is current average dispatch time from our outlet, which has been very well accepted by the people, customers. They really appreciate the freshness. So that's something you can look at, like how you do it. So it's good to have that 20 minutes, but if your food can justify that extra 5 minutes, I would say that go for it.
Yeah. So how do you divert page through Swiggy app from Facebook or Insta? You can take that link from your page and then install it along with your ad on the Facebook or Insta. I'm sure your digital marketer can help you. But otherwise, I think I'll quickly ask Bharat to make a short video on this and post it so that you guys can see how it is done actually. Okay.
Just additional point on that. Facebook allows you for each of the type, like there is a ads, which is impressions of the ad, where you can use it to build the brand, and they will show a particular type of ad only to customers who will click and place an order. So Facebook has an algorithm wherein they recognize the kind of customers. So they charge differently for each of the advertisement objective, based on the advertisement objective. So if you're going to show it to an audience or only for them to create awareness about the brand, the cost is much cheaper. But if you want to show it to an audience who is going to click and place an order, your cost per click could be as high as like 10, 15 rupees a click. In my own experience, like I said earlier, like using that objective, like Kiran sir said, like using it to divert the traffic, to show more traffic to your page and then bring it up organically is a good idea. But if you are expecting a conversion from there, the conversion actually really happens on the Swiggy Zomato websites, not on the Facebook page.
So we have made a detailed video on what metrics to study on your platform. I don't know how many of you have already seen it. Shankar, have you gone through that video?
Yeah.
So if you are able to study and understand your presentation on the Facebook, on the Swiggy or Zomato, and how the conversion is happening from the first level to the last level, from the impressions to the actually order, you will be able to make sure that you get the better from whatever ad spends either on the platform or on your social media. Okay, how do you hire key staff? Ghazal. So Ghazal has a lot of questions today. Ghazal, are you going to sing a ghazal for us today? Okay.
So RR, just to add to that point, everything we already spoke about it. Coming back to the question of Ghazal, how did he hire my key staff? Like I initially bought some people from my hometown to recreate the menu here, and then, but I also learned by mistakes. Like I also believe and understand now that it's better to employ people who really need the job. And so when I bring people from South, South is more developed now, so people don't really value the job. So people who really need the job are more coming from the northern part of India now. They are willing to put the hard work. They are more adapting also. So this is what we learned over a period of time. So you don't need really a South Indian to make a South Indian food. They can be trained as long as your SOPs are
in place.
They can be trained. Anybody can be trained. So hiring a staff, like there are many apps, many sites like Apna, which Kiran sir has promoted as recommended as one of the good ones. which we also regularly use.
See, a lot of staff working in the hotels and restaurants come from Orissa, Bihar, Uttaranchal, and from West Bengal also. Okay. I think if you look at it, the bulk of the staff working in the hotels around the country would be from these 4 states. Okay. And they really work hard. You have to agree to that. And but key staff, yes, as you said, to get that authentic taste to start with, maybe you'll need somebody with that right kind of a knowledge. And then maybe the remaining you can go with people from any part of, once you have the SOPs in place. How many ID of Swiggy Zomato do we need to take for good volume of orders? How many ID of Swiggy Zomato? What is this question? Do you understand this question?
Maybe you mean how many brands? Like, do we need to have multiple brands to create a good volume of order? That's my understanding of the question. So maybe if I have to answer that, in our own case, like we have the flagship brand, which is Idlish. Idlish brand is the one which is promoted, and then we generate the maximum number of revenue through that. We spend on ad, we spend on promotion, we get the maximum number of ad. But I also have other brand, which we don't promote at all, but we get another 20% of the revenue out of that brand. So if your question is about how many IDs, I assume that it's about how many brands. It really depends on where you want to focus. In my opinion, I think you should be focusing on one and promoting that. But there's no harm in having a secondary brand. And if you can generate another 10-20% revenue out of that secondary brand without any marketing, still okay.
Okay. Ankit also developed a brand and started to franchise. What should be our action plan to increase and maintain our business more and more? So what's your question actually? You're talking about your business or talking about how to develop more franchising, or you could elaborate on that question, Ankit. Meanwhile, Kiran, I think you have some challenge in accessing your course. Right away, if you're here, write down a number 92487 44099. Okay, just send a message to that number. That is Sam from our team. He will guide you. I'm repeating 92487 44099. Okay, rather I'll type it for you also. Okay, Umesh has a question. Okay, Umesh, hi Shankar. It's awesome to see and hear your success story. Would like to walk your footsteps. Share the mantra, please. I think he's been doing that all the while.
Welcome. Nothing as a success mantra. We interacted quite a few times in person and also on the phone. I simply believe in making it very simple. When it comes to hospitality, restaurant business, 2 things: food, service. Nothing else can. All your marketing, everything can happen. All your technology, this thing. But keep it simple. For any hospitality, be it a cloud kitchen, for a restaurant, your food has to be absolutely the best, and you have to stand out in terms of service. If you can do these 2 things, others are only going to complement. But if you don't get these 2 right,
nothing else can help you. Absolutely. So get your food bang on and service bang on, and then I think you must really have that attitude to delight people. It's something that should come from your heart, I feel. I've seen some of the best guys in the business. They really get pleasure when they see people eating good food and enjoying themselves. So if you have that kind of a thing in your heart, I think you will do much better in this business. Okay, I think we have taken most of the questions, and
in fact, one of them, he is always there in the kitchen. Like, I've been to his outlet, so I know him very well.
Beg your pardon, louder, please.
Umesh is one of them. He's there at the outlet all the time.
I think his outlet also has a menu, not exactly the same, but South Indian, and it's quite a trendy look and feel that you've given, Umesh, to your place, and I'm sure matter of time it picks up and starts rocking. And all the best to all of you. And meanwhile, so Shankar, a couple of questions. how important was and how helpful was the networking that happened on the platform, be it on the WhatsApp group or on the mastermind group from the community?
Fabulous, amazing. Like as I said, I wish the lockdown had happened 3 months back, 3 years back. I could have learned a lot. With every meeting, for those who have not had the opportunity, I had a special privilege of attending Kiran sir's one more class, which is 51 steps. So in that, I have added a 52 step, sir. I make sure at least I meet 2 of our batchmates every week.
Wow, fantastic.
Okay. So that is the 52nd step. Like people ask me like, how do you find time to manage all those things? You have 4 outlets and then you do it, and then you are everywhere going and seeing people, talking to them. I love it. I learn from each one of them, each small or big. When I interact with them, I learn a lot every time. Like I give you a small example. So Abhinav is running a cloud kitchen. He has taken a franchisee and he's running cloud kitchen. So when he came to my outlet and we were having a conversation, we understood what is QR code. So he was telling me that you should add the QR code so people will get to see it. Immediately they can go to your Insta, Facebook, and then scan it and then put their review. So I learned small things. Just giving you an example. So like this. So we use that. We took it to the next level. There are products, because people always ask about how do we get out of Swiggy, Zomato? How do we get out of the Swiggy and Zomato? How do we get out of the aggregators? How do we save the money on that? So there are products which are available now. Like one of the product what we have started using is a product from #Loyalty. It's called Thrive. So Thrive gives you a link through which the customer can place an order. So the customer has to just click on the link and then they will see their menu. Then the complete integration with the delivery integration, everything will be done. So you don't have to do any manual work in feeding the address or selecting the vendor, delivery partner and everything. So everything is done.
They tied up with Dunzo or Rapido or something like that?
Yes, they tie up with Dunzo and Rapido. And they charge only 3%. So what it is it is a product without the marketing. So Zomato is about marketing. They are not about, it's not about delivery service. Okay, they don't charge, they don't take the 22% for delivery. They take the 22% from you for the marketing platform. Now, what we have done is we have distributed pamphlets in our nearby vicinity, wherein we have added a QR code. So customer can look at the pamphlet, they can scan the QR code, and they will be taken to the online order menu. So it's very simple for them. So nobody wants to download an app, extra app. So you cannot create your own app and then ask the people to download and do it. So when you have something like this, people can scan it, they go to your this thing, they order it. So this is something we have started experimenting. So those are the things which could come handy in the future.
There are also going to be a lot of local players coming up, apart from the big guys like Amazon or whatever, Google and all. Like there's an MZ in Hyderabad who are active in some parts of the town. Okay. We have developed our own e-commerce platform and then integrated with Dunzo. Okay. Otherwise, like Drive, there are some of the many guys around in the market. I think we will have one session with some of them, or to give you an idea as to how that works. But believe me, they are not going to be marketing. That's a critical thing. You will have to drive traffic there to be able to order, and then possibly the delivery will also get done. So Sujit, thank you, Shankar. Not sure why the day we heard about Idlish and the pics on the Women's Day. The day Kiran sir mentioned about you, big fan. Okay. A whole lot of fans for Shankar in our community because he's always a giver and helpful to everyone and anyone who seeks or even looks around for it.
I enjoy it. I learn from each one of you. I learn from each of the interaction what I have. So you every one of you have contributed in where I am today. So I absolutely love it.
It's been a pleasure interacting, and those of you who are watching on Facebook, if you have a plan to start your cloud kitchen or a food business, do consider joining. Come to the webinar, know more about how it works, and do your homework, learn, and then start. Okay. 80% of the businesses fail. In fact, somebody had put up in the chat, I think the similar point. The simple reason they fail is because they have not done research. They're not diligent in their planning. They don't build the right team. They don't put the right kind of a menu together. They don't get the taste right. They don't get the service right. They don't get the packaging right. Only putting the money will not get you success. Okay. This is one business which is a good business, but it's a tough business. You have to get all the ingredients right. Okay. In sambar, you put everything perfectly, but you miss out on the salt. It's gone. Okay. Or maybe, the right amount of tamarind, any of these ingredients, each of them have a role to play. Similarly, in the food business, you have to get all your ingredients right. So learn and then go about doing it. And I'm sure you will be, it's not that, it guarantees you, but you will, the chances of you falling in that 80% who fail will become 20%. Okay. So you have an 80% of chances being in the 20% who succeed. Okay. If you go about in a methodical way. And with that, I think any one question that is there, that is, thank you. Okay. I think there are a lot of questions. A question now that we developed a brand. Okay. I think, how many items could we add on a QR code? Okay, we'll take 1-2 questions, Shankar. Shravya Shetty said SOPs. Can you elaborate on it? Standard operating procedures.
SOPs can be in terms of recipes, in terms of how you maintain your inventory. There are a lot of things which are standard operating procedures. A simple documented recipe for making a sambar could be that to get let's say 5 liters of sambar, this is the amount of dal, this is the amount of tamarind, this is the amount of this thing, and what is the process. So this is one simple SOP. You can call it as a recipe. That is also a SOP. Now you also need to have a process for keeping your inventory. How do you do it? So all these, the multiple things which are part of the SOPs. So once the SOPs are formed, your consistency improves and your mistakes comes down. So that's where the SOPs and training are key when you want to give a consistent quality and satisfy your customers.
So after a point of time, human beings can fail, but the systems will work. Right. Okay, so you will have to put that in place, and that is where you will, over a long period of time, have the consistency in the food or service. That's what some of the best hotels and airlines put into practice. I remember IKEA when they started in Hyderabad. Just to tell you, almost every star hotel's banquet hall was booked for about 3 months. Okay, in that area where they were opening. Okay, so at that point of time, in fact, we were doing a workshop for people starting a restaurant, and everybody says we are full. We don't have a banquet hall. And I said, what's happening? He said, sir, this period it's all booked by IKEA. Okay, they literally took all the hotels. They had a whole lot of trainers training their team, to the last detail, that you see it as an experience when you go to an IKEA store. So that's the kind of work people put in when training their people and putting a SOPs in place, and that's why IKEA is the largest such store in the world. Okay, and any other software or application you use developing the SOPs? Did you hire a consultant? Okay, quick question.
I hired a consultant. It's more about menu engineering part of it, just to make sure that how that can be practically brought into the kitchen. But SOPs were written by us, so we had our own.
Okay, Padma, how many items can we add with a QR code? I think QR code will take you to the menu. There can be a number of items on the menu.
Correct.
It is not an item that gets a QR code. The QR code takes you to the menu. Okay. So I think, friends, we have spent almost an hour and a half. Any parting thoughts and advices to the friends who are learning now, and you've given some mantras. First thing is the research, diligently going about taking your time and getting your location right, and having something that is unique, and a mascot that is different, and top focus on food and service. And I think many points that you've raised, which will be of value to our friends here in the community. But last parting thoughts on advice to the community who are just about starting to learn or in the process of setting up their cloud kitchens or cafes.
I think be a good learner. Life is going to throw you yeah. So life is going to throw many challenges and lessons for you for the first few months. You need to be adaptable. You need to be a learner. You need to keenly observe what is going in the market, what is happening to your own brand, what is happening, how the sales are going. We see that many cloud kitchen brands which have started recently struggle in reaching the volume of sales. So you need to be adaptable to understand things like, for example, where to spend on the marketing, how do you get the best return, how do you get the best return out of assets. So all these things are answered as a part of the Cloud Kitchen Master Course. So if you do go through the process without skipping any of them, that's very important. Without skipping any of them, then your success rate, as Kiran said, it goes to 80%. So those who want to do it, those who have already done it, I'm sure most of you have missed few of them also. Like it might need a multiple visits to really understand each step of that. So once you do that, we all are in a blessed phase where we have this course available, so you can utilize that and get the best out of it.
Yeah. So and we keep adding on modules where we think can add some more insights to your success. So keep observing them. We are now, I think, sending you. I think all of you would have got some. Can I quickly have replies on the chat? Did you all get a WhatsApp message today regarding the session with the Zoom link? Just give me a thumbs up, friends who are here. I think the whole lot of friends who are here. Did you get a message on WhatsApp about the session today? Why I'm not able to see. Yes. Sure. Okay. Thank you. Great. So no, we will try to communicate to you. Yes, I got it, but late. Okay. I would appreciate if it comes early. Received, but late. Okay. Thanks for the feedback. Okay. Fine. I think two things. One is we would have sent a message in the afternoon, but also a reminder message as it started. Possibly that got delayed. We will. Somebody got it at 8 p.m. So we'll work on this. Thanks for the feedback. Otherwise, Shankar, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure people like you will inspire a lot of them to go in the right direction and succeed. And for you, my wishes and prayers for Idlis to become a pan-India brand.
Thank you.
That will be my pride and my joy. Okay. Wish you all the very best. And to your wife, who's been a part of the journey, congratulations to her too. And the Meenamma, the mascot, who's rocking. Okay. All the very best. See you all, guys. And good night.
Good night.
Thank you.